welcome back to another episode of For the Record. Quite an eventful day here at Legislative Hall. Just wrapped up a committee hearing about Senate Bill 159, which has been all over, I know, our social media page and really all over social media in general and in the news. Of course, Senator Pettyjohn, to my left, is a member of the committee, as is Senator Eric Buxton. But while we're doing introductions, we also have our Chief of Staff, Deanna. Yep. And in the background, we have our Policy Director, Christy Wright, who will eventually be on camera. Eventually. Maybe. She's shaking her head now.
She's shaking her head now.
Anyway, but even before
Again, I mean, Deanna could technically order you.
She's like, whatever, dude.
I wouldn't do that to you, Christy.
Christy, you will be on the podcast next week.
But before we get into that, though, later on in this episode, we have an exciting interview.
Yes.
DJ Daniel and his father, Theodis, were here in Delaware this weekend. Freshly got deputized by the State Police, Capitol Police, I believe Delmar as well.
Delmar,
a number of agencies.
Yeah, a number of agencies visited him yesterday. At Sunday, let's say Sunday, because I'm not sure when this is going to be out. But on Sunday at the rally for the first responders at Hudson Field in Lewis, a number of agencies came and did some honorary, making them honorary members and honorary members of some of the unions, and gave them challenge coins and badges and things like that. Cool. So it was a really neat event. He is such a great kid, and we're going to have a great interview with him later on in the episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's a cool kid.
Yep.
So definitely stick around for that. But Senate Bill 159.
Before we start I just want to make clarification about last week. We were kind of questioning the compassionate release bill, and Senator Pettyjohn and I were going back and forth about if someone being released based solely on their sickness or their illness, could they be released solely on that? We did receive clarification from the bill sponsor that no, that they still would have to meet these qualifications. They would not constitute a substantial risk to the community, to themselves, or to the victim.
Yep.
Still do not support the bill for other reasons, but right. I just wanted to at least make sure that we clarified that.
Yep, want to make sure that the information we're sending out, and not long after the podcast was published, we got some feedback from the bill sponsor about that. So glad to make that correction.
Glad they were listening too.
Yeah, glad they were listening. And look, when we're going through things on the floor, a lot of times things aren't necessarily clear. We make decisions based on those things. Like you said, I still have some problems with the bill. Yeah. Conceptually, I think I'm okay, but there are just some things about the bill that I'm not 100% comfortable with.
Yes, so. I would have preferred a larger fiscal note and let the Board of Pardons be the determining party.
Yeah,
I would support it based on that.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that was an accidental misrepresentation. I hope they offer clarifications whenever they purposely misrepresent our pieces of legislation. Anyway, what we got, Deanna?
Well, like you said, 159. Let's talk about it.
Let's go.
Yeah, so we had quite a long hearing today. One, two, three, two, almost 2.5 hours worth of committee, about an hour and a half worth of public comment about it. And public comment generally was opposing.
You think so?
Did. Well, yeah, okay. I did tick marks.
Okay, you did.
Everybody.
Okay, Christy and I were talking. Is it what we thought maybe 50-50, but okay,
no,
you did tick marks. You're
I did
right.
tick marks.
It looks like it's pretty much quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, there were some really interesting people that spoke. Members of our town councils, mayors, representatives of the Sussex County Association of Towns, Delaware League of Local Government.
A lot of farmers.
A lot of farmers that have some issues with it. We also had a retired judge.
Yes.
That came in.
Judge Witham?
Yep.
Yes,
that testified. So he brought up some good points about this bill and some of the reasons why the General Assembly should not be stepping into this at this point in time.
Yep, and I agree with him. He said let the judicial process play out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we need to do that. It's there for a reason.
Right. And maybe just give a little background in case people don't know what we mean, what the judicial process means. There is a current lawsuit going on.
Okay, let's just back up a little bit more because people may not even know what the bill is. So why don't you explain what the bill does, and then we'll go through the process.
Okay, so it basically is taking local control away. They're saying that this is specific to this one location in Sussex County, but ultimately this is paving the way for local control to just be done away with, and the state government to decide the zoning decisions for the towns and counties.
So, I asked this bill sponsor, why are they putting this in the utility section?
Yes.
And titling it public utilities when really it is specifically about a conditional use in Sussex County. So, we have a title in Delaware Code that deals with counties.
Yes.
First section deals with all counties, and then second section is Newcastle, third section is Kent, fourth section is Sussex County. They could have put it in all counties so that it would apply to all counties in case this happened somewhere else, or they could put it in Sussex County, but instead they put it in the utilities section of the title of Delaware Code. So, I think that's a problem there, especially since a lot of those stakeholders have triggers and email alerts that are set up if it's touching, city, town charters, Title IX, so they get alerted to these things. You have it in a separate title, things can maybe go underneath the radar. I don't think they did in this case, only because there was a lot of public information about it, a lot of news and a lot of press about it, but it could have if people weren't paying attention.
Right.
And I think that's problematic. So,
and I thought you and Senator Buxton did a great job today.
Yeah, that's only because we're your bosses.
That's right.
I don't say stuff just to say it.
Well, yeah,
if I
that's
thought
true.
you sucked, I'd have said so.
Yeah. But no, look, it's very specific. And even we asked, we didn't even have to ask. She said that it was just for this.
Yes.
So there's something that's called spot zoning.
Yes.
Which is something that the courts have said you're not supposed to do.
Right.
But this is, a legislative spot zoning that says, if a site meets this criteria, and the only site that she said, the only site in the state that meets all of this criteria is this specific site.
Right.
So we are, by legislative action, attempting to do spot zoning, which is something that we shouldn't do. I don't want to get involved in local zoning here in this building.
Right.
People constantly ask us, the state needs to step in and stop this development, or the state needs to step in and do these things. I have said for years, and even before I was, in the Senate, you don't want a bureaucrat in Dover or Wilmington making the decision who builds what next to your house or your farm or your business. Those should be all local decisions. And the state coming in and just looking at the sponsor list, I think there's only one person from Sussex County that is listed as a sponsor.
Yes.
And that's
And she's the
Representative
main
Snyder Hall.
Yeah, she's the main House sponsor, I believe.
Yeah. The rest of these are Newcastle County and Kent County senators and representatives that are going to be telling Sussex County what to do. And I think that's absolutely wrong. That's not how government should work. These zoning decisions have to be made by the local jurisdictions. They have to be made by the people that have to live with the consequences.
Right.
And live near the consequences of those decisions.
Right. And Senator Hansen kept saying, this is an issue of electric rates and, the energy that we need to start producing. And Matt and I have had this conversation many times. The reason we're in this position is because of the green energy mandates that have been pushed down federal level, regional level, state level, and we have been warning them over and over about scarcity. We do not have the infrastructure in place to meet the demands that you are putting on mostly DP&L. And this is where it plays out, know, and they're putting I feel like they're putting most of their eggs in the solar and renewable energy or offshore wind basket. And it's been stated over and over again, they're unreliable.
Right.
There
are times that the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow.
Yes.
And we need to have that base load generation that's available so that when we have those, as we're building out, as we're adding new homes or businesses or industries, that we have reliable power for that base load that's needed. And really we need the load that's available for times when it is abnormally cold or abnormally hot as well. Yep. We need that capacity, and wind and solar just we can't trust them to be generating when we need it the most.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know our caucus was very much trying to drive home the message about the erosion of local control. This is now at least the third piece of legislation in the Senate. There may be more in the House. I'm not sure.
But Bill of Rights in the House.
That's right. But Yeah, so there are now 3 or 4, possibly more. Like I said, I'm not exactly 100% sure what's going on in the House, but pieces of legislation that are directly stripping control away from counties and municipalities. And in the case of, Senate Bill 87, right, with ADUs, possibly HOAs.
Yeah.
So...
deed restrictions that people
right?
agreed to when they bought their property, and that's a contract.
And this, I mean, it is a very dangerous road, in my opinion.
It is.
That we're headed down.
It's an attitude of we know better than you.
Yeah.
And I don't even feel like they're trying to hide it. I feel like,
well, it's very open, especially you heard it in this committee hearing.
Yeah.
And throughout, at least on some of the supporters of this bill on their social media posts over the past week.
Yeah.
They're unashamed.
Yes.
That they know better than people who actually live in Sussex County.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So
one supporter said, this is for the greater good. Well, I don't think we want to talk about the greater good and all of the history we have of things that have happened, we've done for the greater good, that have, like, it's a black eye in history.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we won't get into all that, but even just the environmental impacts. I don't know if you were familiar with what happened in Nantucket back in 2024, where one of their blades, I say Nantucket because that's where it washed up. I think technically it's called the Vineyard Wind Project, but one of their blades fell into the ocean, and it caused a major environmental issue because it was a non-biodegradable debris that was floating around. They had to close their beaches right during the prime time, so it hurt their, tourism industry for that period of time. So I don't know that these are environmentally friendly as what they're being made out to be.
Yeah, even organizations such as the Center for the Inland Bays, they have concerns. I don't think they took a position one way or another, but they definitely have very specific concerns, especially, what has to happen to get these lines run that, 10 miles, I heard, up the river and up to where the substation site's going to be. And they're talking about, 4 12-inch conduits that these wires are going to be running in. And, it's
This is pretty shallow water too, isn't it?
Well, it's shallow water. And what you're going to have to do to get those lines in there, and I'm not sure if they're all going to be directionally bored or if they're going to be dredging up to place them in a trench and then covered back over. But you're going to be doing a lot of stuff that's going to be disturbing a lot of water and a lot of the sediment that's down on the bottom of that of our inland bays, which is going to disturb things like your fishing, your crabbing, digging up all sorts of stuff that's out there. So it's problematic.
If dredging is involved, it's going to be years before anything happens.
Yeah, it may not actually happen.
Yeah, because we actually dock our boat near where this proposed project will go.
Yeah.
And I can speak to, it's shallow water through that area.
How many times you got stuck?
Well, up further, we've gotten stuck a couple times, but the area is deeper than, where we actually dock at, but still it's a concern. And did I hear Dave Stevenson right today saying that DENREC actually opposed it and had concerns based on the same thing? I guess the center, kind of the same position as the Center for the Inland Bays.
I'm not sure.
Well, we'll have to listen back to that, but I thought he said DENREC had some concerns as well.
Yeah.
So we'll follow up on that.
Yep. So what else have we got?
I mean, I only had this one bill to talk about today.
Okay.
Since we're bringing in DJ, I thought
That's right. Yeah, we got a big interview, big get for the little podcast here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, he was flown in today on a helicopter.
Yes.
And which was really, really cool. So
Landed right in front of Legislative Hall.
That was So
Yeah.
my 10 years here, I've never seen that before. So that was even cool for me.
Yeah.
So, but it's his father and DJ. They're just great. They've been a pleasure to get to know.
And we'll hear more about it, during the interview. But, one of the things that I've noticed, with his story, taking his story in a vacuum, he has just been so positive.
Yes.
And the positivity that surrounds him. What he was given a 5 months to live. What was it, back in 2018?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, and he's still here.
Yes.
And I say it during the interview, there's power to positive thinking.
Absolutely.
There's power to positivity. And, it's not his time yet. He's still got a lot of light to shine out there. And I hope that he is that miracle that, happens once in a lifetime, once in a generation.
I hope so.
Because
he did just recently get, I guess, some not so great news.
Some not so great news. Yep. So we'll see what happens, but it's a great interview. Just his story and what led him to do this. What led him to really fall in love with law enforcement community and be a law enforcement officer, which was his dream. It's really inspiring, and everybody, you're gonna really enjoy the interview.
Yeah, and I want to apologize now for my dancing, because we wanted to do a TikTok video with DJ, and that only one he wanted to do was the Trump dance on TikTok. So I told him I would do it with him. So I apologize now for inflicting that on everyone.
Okay, are you?
You're on rhythm. You're good.
Are you apologizing for the actual dance that you did, or for dancing?
For dancing in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You notice I didn't dance.
Yeah.
I know my limitations.
You hightailed it out.
I surely did.
Well, I really wanted him to be on our TikTok, so
yeah.
Good. So I sacrificed for you guys.
Okay. Appreciate you taking that to the team.
Thank you. All right. Well, how about we get to that interview?
Let's do it.
Before we stop, we're still, this week is joint finance markup, so they're still working on the budget stuff downstairs. We will be back to legislative session next week, so make sure you take a look on our social medias and everything for the agendas when they come out.
June 10th.
June 10th, we're going to be back. So and once June 10th happens, we'll have 3, 6, 7, 8 days left.
Did you count Juneteenth in there?
I took Juneteenth out.
Okay. Yeah. So we don't have many days left.
9?
Yeah.
9 days. Yeah. So 3, 6. Yeah, 9 days left. Yeah. So we're coming down to the wire. So things are going to be fast and furious here in Legislative Hall. It's not the end of the General Assembly. It's just the end of the first session. So it's not going to be as crazy this year as it will be next year, but there's still probably going to be a lot of shenanigans happening from what we're hearing from the other side of the building.
Oh, interested to hear that. I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah. So, all right, Matt, why don't you take us off to the next section?
All right. Well, DJ Daniel. All right. Well, this is a very exciting episode of For the Record, as we have two very important and inspirational visitors here to Legislative Hall visiting Delaware for this week. DJ Daniel and his father, Theodis. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Great.
Yeah, good.
So you've been in Delaware now for how many days?
Roughly about 2.
About 2.
So DJ, why don't you tell us, how did you get here to Lake Hall today? Did you have a special ride?
Well, I flew on a helicopter. I wasn't expecting that.
That was cool, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, we were over at Hudson Fields yesterday for the rally for our first responders, and we were able to present you something there on stage. Presented you with a Delaware flag and with a couple of proclamations, and it was a great event and a great turnout for our first responders. What did you think about the crowd yesterday?
That was a pretty big crowd, but I ain't gonna lie. I think somebody was a player over there last night, because I was getting a whole lot of girls, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Were you? There you go, man.
I heard you went over to the Starboard last
Awesome.
night afterward.
We did.
Yes. Did you have a good time there?
Yes, sir.
Monty, the owner there, Steve Montgomery, I think I saw a picture of you two. He posted on his Facebook. He's a good guy. He really supports our first responders, and it looks like he treated you guys to a really good night over there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ask the question everyone wants to know. What was it like to meet President Trump?
It was great.
Now, how did that process kind of start? Like, when were you first introduced to him or some members in his administration? Like, how long was it from when you met him to when you were invited to the State of the Union? How was that process?
All right, so we were at home minding our business, and I get this phone call. It says 202. Area code. I was like, who is this? Probably a spam call. But I answered it. And a lady introduced herself as Brett Powell. She was one of the chief of staff of President Trump. Mm-hmm. And asked me a question. And she says, well, President Trump and First Lady Miss Melania would like to have you and DJ as their personal guests at the joint session. I'm thinking to myself, okay, somebody's playing a joke here. So I started to hang up, and then she says, well, do you have an email? I said, yes. She said, check your email. And she said, will that date do? Where's the ticket? So I was like, well, okay, we was going to tell President Trump, no, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
So we went, and I mean, it was super short notice, and we went and we was there with everybody else, from Lincoln Riley's mother, Joshua's mother, Jason's mother, you know, Mr. Ortiz. I mean, you name it. There's a bunch of us there. We were all confused, like, what are we doing? And so, I mean, it turned out pretty good. But like I said, we didn't know anything.
Right.
It was pretty much hush hush till we got there.
Good.
That's really cool.
But he is very intense.
Yeah.
He doesn't blink much. He looks at you.
Yep.
And if you pass the stare test, I guess you'll be okay.
I think, you know, when everybody was watching that joint session, and you know, the president mentions you and everything like that, the look on your face, just the surprise. Now, did you know, Theo, did you know what was happening, or was that a surprise to you as well?
No, we didn't know. I mean, I thought we were there just strictly to be at the session.
Oh, so
Right.
you didn't know any of that.
Well, we weren't
That's
even
really
on
cool.
the itinerary where they had the names on there.
Uh-huh.
And I was asking, oh, no, why is the name not on there? She's
Yeah.
like, oh, no, we're going to put out a second one. That's not what that was.
Right.
So,
Uh-oh.
So
He
it was
wants to show us his badge here.
Yep, there and there's your
That is
Secret Service
cool.
credentials. That's pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
I think you, and I mentioned this yesterday, I think you kind of stole the hearts of just about everybody in the country
did.
with how genuine you are. You know, I know. Look, all of this has been a whirlwind for your family, and DJ, I just want to say, just the positivity that you have. You know, you cracking jokes all the time. You know, rubbing bald people's heads. You know, that's great, and it just really shows who you are, and just, you know, how much of a great young man, and credit to you for raising such a good young man as well.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir. Thank you.
So what's in store? What's in store for the future for you guys?
Okay.
Dad.
Deflected to me. New Jersey.
Okay.
Be there on the 11th.
Okay.
13th.
So you're going back home for a bit and then coming back
Well,
out
he's
east.
got a swearing to do as soon as we get there.
Okay.
And then we'll be going to Florida.
All right.
Then the governor of the Caribbean islands, so we'll be there from June the 31st evening
Okay.
to the 9th
Oh,
for the
that's so
carnival. So
cool.
we'll be there for that.
Really nice.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So.
And how you holding out? You having a good time?
Yes, sir.
Good. Good. Now, if there's one other thing that you wish you could do when you were in Delaware, what would that be?
Well, it was to fly on a helicopter. That already came true.
Okay.
So that was your first helicopter ride?
Not really.
No.
Oh, no.
You've flown before?
Yes, ma'am. And not only that, he flew one too. I asked him. I said, I didn't know you didn't know how to do that. He said, you didn't ask.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, so you've got this now. You know, I tell you one thing. You know, the way that I've seen our law enforcement out here just, you know, really embrace you and encourage you and just gain a lot of inspiration from you. And it, you know, really culminated today with that helicopter ride. And when I was, you know, leaving Georgetown, you know, I had to leave a whole lot sooner than you to make it here in time. It only took you 15 minutes. It takes me about 45 minutes to make it from Georgetown. But I heard that you were taking a ride there on the helicopter. I thought that was going to be a really neat experience for you, and I figured you'd enjoy that. Yeah.
That's great.
Yep. So let me ask you this: of all the states that you've been to, red states, blue states, I'm going to put you on the spot. Where would you rank Delaware in terms of how we've been to you?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10?
Awesome.
That's awesome. Hey, and I was telling your dad yesterday, it's especially the southern part of the state, you know, where we're from. Mm-hmm. It's like you take a piece of like rural North Carolina or South Carolina or Georgia, where you've got that hospitality. Everybody knows each other, everybody's family, and you plop it right on the East Coast. That's what we're like down here. And, you know, some of the issues that, you know, you saw nationwide back in 2020 with, you know, with police and stuff like that, you don't see it here. You don't see it here. We love our law enforcement. We support them. You know, I was on town council when we had a member of our police department was killed in the line of duty, and that touched all of us. And we all came together. We support that law enforcement family, and I just love the support that you have and that you've shown for law enforcement and what they do. And I'm glad to see that you're an honorary member of so many departments now.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many departments are you deputized in now?
Too many to
So
count.
it's coming back to me. It's 1,352 plus.
1,352.
You have
Two
been
plus.
very
Not,
busy.
not including yesterday.
Yeah, not including yesterday.
Okay.
Wow.
That's amazing. That really is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, DJ, is there anything that you would like to say?
I'm surprised nobody noticed that I replaced the Houston badge with this one.
Let me see. What is it? Oh, there you go.
Which one? Which department was that from? Oh, Delmar.
Yep.
That was Delmar. I see the Delaware flag on one side and the Maryland
Yeah, I
flag
see
on the
it
other.
there. Okay.
Yep. Yep. That's all. I saw them give that to you yesterday. That's pretty neat to have a badge that's actually from a department within 2 states in the same department.
So DJ, like, at what point in your life did you decide, hey, I want to be a law enforcement officer?
6.5.
6.5.
6.5. Okay.
What did you like about it?
Might have to ask my dad that question though.
Okay.
Okay, so during 2017 August, we were hit by Hurricane Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
So we were called refugees, and we took refuge in the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston, with about 4,500 plus officers, 14,000 people, and we slept on concrete floors with chairs around us, no blankets, no nothing, and so we were getting the MREs, granola bars, and little fruit cups, but the lines were so long, so the kids figured, okay, my 3 for sure figured out the plan. So they figured out that the adults wouldn't get mad at them if they cut the line. So they just walk up to the front, grab their granola bar, and take off. And so they started getting up early in the morning when as soon as their eyes popped open and start running back and forth, collecting them like some squirrels for wintertime.
Right.
And so 3 officers brought him to us, and I thought they were in trouble. I said, well, officer, are they in trouble? They said, no, we just wanted to take them upstairs for some pizza because, you know, they keep us, you know, pretty grounded because we can't get to our families and our kids, but they entertain us all day, and we just can't understand how this little one here keeps up and runs all day long. So can we just take him out of this nightmare and take him upstairs for this pizza? I'm thinking to myself, dude, it's like 3 weeks into this. We can stop lying to us. We ain't got no pizza.
Yeah.
So we go up the stairs, and it's pig is pork and grits is grocery. It was a curled up vegetable pizza with purple onions and mushrooms. And I said, man, I wouldn't eat this on any other given day.
But today.
Today,
I
any
bet it
given
tasted
Sunday,
pretty.
I was in there licking the oil off the paper. And, you know, the things that you would normally would take for granted to be picky and choosy that we take, you know, we don't really think about much of. That pizza was the best thing. And then that little small first gesture and the first impression made an everlasting impression, literally, on him after he was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer and having 5 months to live. So law enforcement is definitely been a big influence as to his longevity. And it's helping even Texas children, and Baylor College of Medicine agrees with it because we have a letter that I normally pack with me, and it says, due to the grave nature and the complexity of disease of his DeVarge's disease and cancer, please excuse DeVarge and his brother's absence as they will be significantly increased. Also, these law enforcement ceremonies have been proven beneficial to this critically ill child to the grave nature and complexity of the disease. So they agree just by doing these ceremonies and being around people. They finally agree with me that it works.
Yep, absolutely.
So now we've been pushing other parents to keep their kids and normalize, you know, their lives. Don't keep them in the house. Give them a constant reminder. You don't need a constant reminder that you got a bad day going on, or you're gonna, you know, you got a flat tire in your car at the shop and you won't get it for 3 weeks, you know. So I just told him just live like what? Party till when? What I tell you about partying? That song.
1995.
1999. Yep.
Oh no.
Prince.
Yep. And I said, you know, you speak your mind and you make everybody feel good, so you don't be a party pooper. So I never know when he's feeling bad.
Power positivity, man. Power positivity.
He's very positive, that's for sure.
Yep. And it's contagious too. And I think that's why people just want to gravitate and be around you. You're just so positive, and we appreciate it. We do.
And on my 13th brain surgery, God gave me my wings, but he said, I'm going to take these back from you because you don't get these until you graduate the school of life.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, you're living a lot of life right now. I'll tell you that. You're living more life than a lot of people 3-4 times your age.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's tremendous. It really is.
Anything else you want to say?
I'm just glad I'm here today,
Yes.
meeting everybody here.
Yeah, and we're glad too. We've all been so excited. that you were visiting us today.
Yeah, and I mean, thank you both, and thanks for agreeing to come on here. I mean, this is, we got a few viewers here, a few hundred, here and there across the state, but, more and more people are listening to this all the time. And, look, what you've done, how you've inspired people, and just, what you're doing, I can't thank you enough. I know you get stuff and you say thank you. We can't thank you enough for being who you are. Can't thank you enough for being the father that you are to DJ. Mm-hmm. So you two are both amazing people.
Mm-hmm. And we'd like to thank you and the state of Delaware and Danny for reaching out. If you want to reach out to us, we wouldn't be here today. But First State, this is a first impression. It's great.
That's awesome. Glad to hear it. There you go.
So is President Trump your favorite?
Pretty much.
Okay, I figured.
So what has this kind of been like, just being thrust into the national spotlight? Is it intimidating, or was it at first, or what's it been like so far?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what that word means.
Okay.
Like, how's it feel to be famous?
Yeah.
Great. It's crazy. Every time at school, when my class goes in for lunchtime, I swear there'd be about 100 kids running up to me, but can I get a picture? I just let them get a picture anyway.
Uh-huh.
I bet. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everyone loves you.
And I swear, this one girl said, "What's your Instagram?" I just gave it right to her.
Hey,
That's right.
there you go.
That's right.
You have an Instagram?
And this other girl said, let me get it. I said, "No, you're going to have to get it from her unless she don't want to give it to you." She said, "I'm not giving you nothing."
Yeah, you got to be
You have
hard
girls
to get
fighting over
sometime,
you?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh, my goodness.
You got to play hard to get, even with the fame. Absolutely.
And then you got more numbers last night at the Starboard.
That's not my problem, though.
No, it's not.
At
You're
the
right.
school, I got over 20 girlfriends.
Wow.
That's right.
How do you manage all that?
I don't know. It's called being a triple player.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, got to give you 5 again. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You're the man.
Well, we've been at this for almost 6 years.
Yeah.
There are a lot of the folks on the other side, they don't know how to read or pay attention. But we've been at this for almost about 6 years, almost
6
close
years.
to it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we've been at it hard. Sleepless nights,
Yeah.
selling, pawning stuff, you name it. We don't get paid for this. We don't. If you try to pay us to come to something, we won't come.
Yeah.
That's not why we do it. It's not.
Right.
We're trying to give back. It's called pay it forward, because if everybody wouldn't have spent what you can't buy, which is God's time, He only gave you so many. Put it like this: when you're a kid and you go to the pizza place and you play the game and you get the high score and give you so many tickets, and you take those tickets in to go cash it in, right? Well, you only got so many tokens.
Right.
So I figured when you sit there and one person spend time with him, you give him one extra token, which is a minute of life. So that's why he's still here.
Yeah. Yep.
So you can't help but be more appreciative. So money doesn't mean nothing. We just want something to make different.
Yeah.
He's got a purpose. He's got a purpose here.
Absolutely.
Right now.
Yep.
And he's living that purpose from everything that we can see. He's living his purpose right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been a chauffeur literally. I was his dad. I'm still am, but I didn't realize I was a chauffeur after that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do. I make sure everything is done for him and for everyone.
Well, we'll keep both of you in our prayers.
Absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely.
Stay positive. Like I said,
Absolutely.
Always.
use your worst day for your best day. I don't care what the doctor tells you.
There you go.
If you accept it, it's belief and prayer.
Yeah.
If you don't use it, you lose it literally.
Yep.
So don't give up.
Yep. You got a great dad there, DJ.
Yeah, for example, the doctor said I only have 5 months to live. Look at me now.
I know.
Never believe what the doctor gonna say, because you might not know
That's right.
what they gonna tell you.
That's right.
Now, how long ago was it that he said you only have 5 months?
It was September 28, 2018.
Wow, really?
And we have receipts just in case,
Yeah.
the other side wants to question it. So I was showing the paperwork. It says 5 months.
Yep. God has other plans for you.
Yeah. And look, enjoy the rest of your time in Delaware. I hope
Yes,
you're
sir.
able to get here again. We'd love to have you.
Oh no, we're gonna come back because we're trying to do this brisket thing up here.
Awesome.
We got some good
calling
brisket.
out all the brisketologists. Come on
Okay.
down when the event comes.
All right.
And we're gonna have a little bit of brisket war.
No.
Sounds good.
Sounds good
Yep.
to me.
All right. Thanks, bud.
All right.
Appreciate
Yep,
it.
see ya.
So good to see you guys.
Well, I tell you, he has both him and his dad are just truly inspirational, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
They really are, and it was great having them here in Delaware. And I will say that they were very impressed at the reception that they got. They said they're going to be back late summer, early fall, so we're looking forward to seeing them again. I hear there's going to be some type of brisket cook-off that's going to be involved in it. So
very nice.
We'll see what happens there, but no, just two great people with a great story, and look, sending a lot of prayers out to them.
Absolutely.
Just, hope for the best for both of them, for the family, and keep them in your prayers.
Yeah.
Prayer and hope and light, they all work.
Yeah. And one really cool thing that we didn't address on the podcast or in the interview, but he told us later, the father, is that Elon Musk gave him a Cybertruck, and he showed us a picture of it. It is fat,
souped up one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
He had all the workings of bulletproof glass.
Yeah.
Wow.
About 400 miles range. That was the very first question I asked him. Of course.
He showed us a
Around
picture.
about 400 miles.
That's
So
good.
surrounding our, of course, EV discussion that we had here. But
Yeah.
I kind of want a Cybertruck. I'm not going to lie. But anyway.
All right. Well, we will be back with everybody next week.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Want to do your standard?
Absolutely. Yeah. So be sure to follow us on all social media channels. I think TikTok is actually going to change our handle over at DE Senate GOP, so it's all uniform.
Okay.
With the rest of our social media. Long story why that was not the same as the others, but anyway.
We're working on verifying the account right now.
Yeah, we're working on getting verified since we're just getting such a massive following. Anyway, also senategop.delaware.gov or delawaresenate.com.
Yep.
We're pretty much everywhere.
We
I
are.
really do think we are.
Yeah.
I think we might be the most, I think I said that last week, I think we
Visible.
might be the most visible caucus.
It's all about transparency.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Everybody have a great rest of the week and enjoy the calm before the storm before we come back.
We'll see y'all next week.
Can't wait.
All right. Take care.